When you think of Porsche, you'll probably picture a sleek 911 tearing up a canyon road or flexing in front of a valet stand. But behind the fame and Instagram filters lies a secret world. Ultra rare, ridiculously fast, and sometimes straight up weird Porsches that most people have never even heard of. These aren't your neighbor's Carrera. These are the forbidden fruit, the unicorns, the what the hell is that machines that Porsche either built in tiny numbers or tried to forget they ever made. So buckle up. We're diving into 12 of the rarest Porsches ever built. Some were road legal race cars, some were stealthy assassins, and a few, well, they just shouldn't have existed at all. Number 1. Porsche 924 Carrera GTS, the nerdy kid who hit the gym. Let's go back to the 1970s. Porsche needed to make a cheaper car, so they worked with Volkswagen and made the Porsche 924, a front-engine water-cooled sports car that used parts from VW and Audi. It even had an engine from a van in a Porsche. Car fans were not happy. People said it wasn't a real Porsche. It was like showing up to a party in gym shorts while everyone else wore suits. But Porsche wasn't done yet. They took that nerdy 924 and gave it a full makeover. They added power, took out weight, and made it mean. The result? The 1981 Porsche 924 Carrera GTS. Only 59 were ever made. Yep, just 59 cars for the whole world. That's rarer than finding a parking spot at Costco on a Saturday. This wasn't just some fancy trim. The GTS was over 300 pounds lighter than the regular 924 Turbo. It had plexiglass windows. Yes, plastic windows. No back seat, and some versions didn't even come with a passenger seat. Porsche said, "Who needs friends? We need speed." Under the hood was a 2.0-liter turbocharged engine, making up to 245 horsepower. That's crazy for the early 1980s, more than many Ferraris at the time. And it was fast, loud, and ready to bite. The car had wide fenders, a deep front end, and a big scoop on the hood. It looked like it wanted to race you at every stoplight, and honestly, it probably could have won. But here's the best part. It cost almost as much as a Porsche 911 Turbo. People were like, why would I buy a 924 for that price? Porsche's answer? Because this one will eat your 911 for breakfast. Today, the 924 Carrera GTS is one of Porsche's rarest and coolest hidden gems. It started out as the cheap Porsche, but in the end, it became a secret weapon. It's proof that even the quiet kid in class can come back after summer break with abs and a six-pack of NOS. Number 2. 1998 Porsche 911 GT1 Strassenversion, the legal loophole supercar. This car is crazy. Porsche wanted to race in a big race called Le Mans, but there was a rule. To race, your car had to be based on a street car. So, Porsche said, fine, we'll make a race car, then just barely make it legal for the road. And that's how we got the 1998 Porsche 911 GT1 Strassenversion. Only 20 were ever made. That's it. Just 20. It's basically a race car with headlights and turn signals. Under the back hood sat a 3.2-liter twin-turbo flat-six engine, making around 537 horsepower. That's more power than most Ferraris at the time. It could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 4 seconds, and top speed, over 190 miles per hour. That's faster than your Wi-Fi when your neighbor isn't using it. The car looked wild, like a shark made out of carbon fiber. Long nose, huge rear wing, super low to the ground. It looked like something Batman would drive if he had to do a grocery run on the Autobahn. Inside, very basic. No luxury, just the basics to make it road legal. Air conditioning, yes, barely. Cup holders? Nope. Your drink better be glued to the floor. And here's the funny part. Strassenversion literally means street version in German. But let's be honest, this thing didn't belong on the street. It belonged on a racetrack screaming past Ferraris and McLarens while making turbo noises loud enough to wake up your neighbor's dog. It's one of the rarest and most extreme Porsches ever made. And if you ever see one in real life, take a photo. Then check your wallet, because you'll need at least $10 million to take one home. Number 3. Porsche 959S, the regular 959's meaner twin. So, After building a race car that barely passed as a road car, Porsche thought, what if we build something so advanced it feels like it came from the year 2050? That's how we got the Porsche 959, one of the most high-tech supercars of the 1980s. But even crazier, the 959S, aka Sport version, this was the one for people who looked at the regular 959 and said, cool, but can you make it more dangerous? Let's back up for a second. The original 959 was built in the mid-1980s to win races like Group B Rally and to show off what Porsche could do. It had twin turbos, all-wheel drive, an active suspension system, and more buttons than a spaceship. It was faster than a Ferrari, more advanced than a Lamborghini, and probably smarter than most drivers. But the 959S, that was the stripped-down, meaner version. Porsche removed the luxury stuff. No power windows, no fancy seats, no air conditioning. Just pure speed, less weight, more horsepower. It had a 2.85-liter twin-turbo flat-six tuned to make 508 horsepower, about 70 more than the base 959. It could hit 211 miles per hour, which back then was absolutely insane. Still kinda is, to be honest. Only 29 units of the 959S were ever built. That's it, 29. This wasn't a car you bought to drive to the mall. This was a car you bought to feel like a jet pilot on the Autobahn, and maybe scare your friends a little. Or a lot. The 959S looked like a 911 that hit the gym, studied rocket science, and then entered Fight Club. Even today, the tech inside this thing feels futuristic. Porsche went all in, and then took it even further with the sport model. If the regular 959 was James Bond, the 959S was Jason Bourne. No nonsense, high-powered, and slightly terrifying. And guess what? Some 959S owners were actually told not to drive them too hard because the tires, yes, the tires were so special, they were almost impossible to replace. So yeah, this was one of the fastest, most expensive, and rarest cars of its time, with tires you had to pray for. Next up, we go from turbocharged science fiction to something that straight up crushed racetracks around the world. It's long, low, and loud enough to make your ears bleed. Meet the Porsche 962. Number 4. Porsche 962. Built to win, but legal if you begged. By the time the 1980s rolled around, Porsche wasn't just building sports cars, they were building weapons. And the Porsche 962? That wasn't just a fast car, it was a race car that destroyed everything in its way. This thing wasn't built for streets. It was made to win Le Mans, Daytona, and pretty much every endurance race you can name. And guess what? It did. Again and again and again. The 962 dominated the racing world from 1984 to the early 90s like a German tank with a jet engine strapped to it. It had a 3.0-liter flat-six, turbocharged, and tuned to push out up to 750 horsepower in race trim. It could hit over 220 miles per hour, and the body was shaped by the wind itself. Low, long, and slippery, like a bar of soap in a prison shower. Now, here's where it gets wild. A few insane and very rich people said, "Hey, Porsche, we want to drive that on the street." So a few road-legal Porsche 962s were built, either by private companies or custom-built for billionaires with zero chill. One buyer? The Sultan of Brunei, who basically collected cars like you collect Pokemon cards. He didn't just want a Porsche, he wanted the fastest one, and he got it. The street version had to be toned down a bit, just a bit, with headlights, turn signals, and some form of interior. But don't let that fool you. This was still a rocket ship with a license plate. Driving one on public roads was like bringing a bazooka to a paintball match. Total overkill. Totally awesome though. Only a handful of street 962s were ever made, which makes spotting one today like seeing a unicorn doing 180 in the left lane. The 962 wasn't built to be pretty or comfortable. It was built to win. And it did that so well, it scares Ferraris in their sleep. Number 5. Porsche 911R, 1967. Lightweight before it was cool. Before GT3s were flexing at track days and influencers were name-dropping Nürburgring times on YouTube, Porsche gave us this. the 1967 911R. Only 20 were made. 20. That's not rare. That's lingerie limited edition rare. This wasn't built to pose, it was built to undress. Fiberglass panels, plastic windows, no rear seats, no sound deadening. Even the door handles were told to pack their bags, and under that tight rear end, a high-revving 2.0-liter flat six yanked straight from Porsche's racing cars, begging to be redlined at 8,000 RPMs. It weighed under 1,800 pounds, which meant it didn't drive, it danced. And not the slow kind either. We're talking wild, sweaty, backseat of a hatchback kind of moves. It was never meant for your average Porsche buyer. This thing was a homologation special, built for rally and endurance races. Translation: it wanted dirt, danger, and long nights. A few lucky maniacs got their hands on one, the rest just drooled. Today, they're basically priceless, and if you ever see one in the wild, keep your hands to yourself, unless you've got 7 figures and a safe word. This isn't just a lightweight Porsche, it's the original track tease, and every hardcore 911 since owes it a few drinks and a thank you text. Number 6. Porsche 916. The mid-engine missed opportunity. Now let's get into something forbidden. The Porsche 916 was the love child Porsche didn't want you to know about. Only 11 were ever made. That's right, 11. Enough to fit in a group chat and still have room for 2 ghosts. It was based on the awkward but lovable 914, but Porsche said, let's make this one dirty. So they gave it a 2.4-liter flat 6 from the 911S, added flare fenders, a steel roof, beefed up suspension, and then slapped on a price tag so scary it made grown men cry. It was mean, it was misunderstood, and it was expensive as hell. Nobody bought it. Seriously, almost no one. So Porsche pulled the plug before it ever hit production. The few that were made, they were handed out to execs, VIPs, and the kind of people who probably had a helicopter pad and a dungeon. The 916 was too niche, too weird, and way too early for its time. It was the mid-engine dominatrix Porsche wasn't ready to admit they built. Today, it's one of the rarest and most mysterious Porsches ever. Loud, raw, and totally off the books. If the 911R was a stripped-down track toy, the 916 was the dark fantasy hiding in the back of Stuttgart's garage, waiting for the right hands to unleash it. Number 7. Porsche 911 SCRS. Group B's forgotten cousin. Group B rallying in the 80s was wild. Think of it as motorsports' version of an underground fight club. Fast, loud, and sometimes deadly. And Porsche? They wanted in. So in 1984, they built the 911 SCRS. Only 20 were made, that's it. 2 handfuls and some spare change. This wasn't your Sunday Cruise 911. This one was stripped, stretched, and ready to get dirty. Lighter body, wider hips, and a 255 horsepower flat 6 that didn't just rev, it roared. Like it had unfinished business with the gravel. They tossed out anything soft or cozy. This was full rally spec. No fluff, just fight. Porsche used it in the Middle East Rally Championship, where it got down and dirty in sand dunes, rocks, and jumps that made grown men scream inside their helmets. It wasn't sipping espresso at the track cafe. No, this 911 was out there chugging gasoline like whiskey and punching gravel in the face. It had that crazy-eyed, I like it rough kind of vibe. If the normal SC was a firm handshake, the SCRS was a slap, a scream, and a night you'd never forget. It's one of Porsche's most badass rally machines, and most people don't even know it existed. Number 8. Porsche 964 Turbo S Leichtbau. Diet Turbo with extra rage. Now, let's talk about the 964 Turbo S Leichtbau, the one-night stand version of the 911 Turbo. Built in 1992, only 86 were made. Porsche took their wild 964 Turbo and said, let's make it hurt. They removed the back seats, yanked out the sound deadening, and deleted the AC. Even the door handles got swapped for simple pull straps. Why? Because real fun doesn't need comfort. It needs focus and maybe a safe word. Under the hood was a 3.3-liter turbocharged flat 6 making 381 horsepower. It wasn't quiet. It whistled, hissed, spat, and popped like it was flirting with you. In German, the Leichtbau wasn't here for cuddles. It was here to scare your date and ruin your hair. This car didn't care about your feelings. It cared about lap times and leaving rubber on every corner exit. If the regular 964 Turbo was the party host, cool, flashy, maybe had snacks, the Leichtbau was the guy on the roof at 3 a.m., shirtless, shotgunning beer, and daring people to race him for pink slips. It was raw, it was violent, and it was sexy in a call me later but don't tell anyone kind of way. This wasn't just a rare Porsche. It was the Porsche your mother warned you about. Number 9. Porsche 911 GT2 993, the Widowmaker's final form. Only 57 road-going versions were made of the 993 GT2. It was Porsche's answer to homologation rules for GT2 racing, and it had no ABS, no traction control, and more attitude than a drunk bouncer. With 430 horsepower, later bumped up to 450, rear-wheel drive and race-tuned everything, it earned its nickname the hard way. One wrong move and it'd make sure your life insurance policy got cashed in, but if you knew how to handle it, nothing else came close. Number 10. Porsche 356 America Roadster, the OG lightweight. In 1952, Porsche shipped out just 16 of these featherweight roadsters to the US. Hand-built aluminum body, 1.5-liter flat 4, zero creature comforts, but it weighed under 1,400 pounds and was built purely for racing, hence the name America. It paved the way for the Speedster. It also set the tone for decades of minimalist Porsche performance. Rare? Oh yeah. Beautiful? Definitely. Want one? Too bad, you probably never will. Number 11. Porsche 911 Speedster, 1989 Turbo look. Open top, low number, high want. Porsche has made a few Speedsters over the years, but the 1989 Turbo look version, that's the one that makes grown collectors bite their lips and whisper, "Daddy, yes." Only 823 came to the US, and every single one looked like it had been doing push-ups in the sun with its shirt off. It had those flared fenders, wide hips, and a chopped windshield so low, it looked like the roof had been peeled off by a jealous ex. It wasn't the fastest Porsche, but baby, it didn't need to be. This car was all about the look. The kind of person who walks into a room, doesn't say a word, and still gets invited upstairs. It skipped leg day, focused on curves, and delivered pure bedroom energy in sports car form. When you parked it, it didn't cool off. It just simmered. The Speedster was that perfect mix of rare, raw, and ridiculously sexy. It didn't ask for attention, it commanded it. And if you were lucky enough to touch it, let alone drive it, you never forgot the way it made you feel. Number 12. Porsche 968 Turbo S, the front engine anomaly. Now, let's talk about a different kind of dirty Porsche, one that didn't care about fame, only performance. The Porsche 968 Turbo S is like the freak in the back of the garage. Quiet, mysterious, and packing way more than you expect. Only 16 were made. 16! That's fewer than some people have X's. But each one came ready to play rough. It had a 3.0-liter turbocharged inline 4, pushing 305 horsepower, a stiff racing suspension, and lightweight everything. It didn't dress to impress. No flashy spoilers, no loud badges, just a cold, hard stare and a body that said, "Don't talk, just drive." This was Porsche's last hurrah for their front-engine platform, and they sent it out with whips, chains, and a roll cage. It was built for the track, for homologation, and for people who liked a little pain with their pleasure. Driving one feels like hooking up with someone way out of your league, and realizing halfway through that they know exactly what they're doing. Most people don't know this car even exists, which makes it even hotter. The 968 Turbo S is Porsche's dark secret, and like any good secret, it's better when it's a little dirty. So there you have it, 12 of the rarest Porsches to ever leave Stuttgart. Some were built for the track, some for loopholes, and some just because Porsche could. Which one blew your mind? Drop your favorite in the comments, and if you've ever seen one in the wild, we want to hear that story. Smash that like button, subscribe for more car madness, and remember, rare doesn't always mean perfect, but in Porsche's case, it usually means unforgettable.